the supreme council of priests.
The religious governance.
Right. And the religious governance body that sentenced him. Theek? So they have always carried this burden of being the ones who killed our God. And they have been targeted for it. The second problem is both Islam and Christianity did not allow finance, did not allow usury, which is to say interest taking. Right? So the only people allowed to take interest were the Jews. Now, every time you wanted to, I've taken 12 years worth of debts from you. I now realize I can't pay it back. What do? I can't pay it back. I'm not going to allow you to destroy my life by taking over my property. So I say Ranveer Allahabadia, or in this case, let's give you a Jewish name. Let's call you Yaakov Finkelstein. Yaakov Finkelstein kidnapped my maid's baby and drank his blood in his satanic God-killing rituals, demonic rituals. And so, remember, in pre-industrial societies, riots happen like that. You spark off a rumor, it leads to a riot. They would all come and they would butcher your family, and my debt is clean. So this whole concept of blood libel, that you shed the blood of Christ and therefore you should be killed for you're not demons, but you're not much closer either, was developed as a means of first making them do all the finance, and then when you couldn't pay back your debts, to kill them off. Right? It was a very sick, sadistic way of running things. Now, remember, in the Muslim world also, you are not allowed to do finance. And so a lot of the financial duties again fell on the Jews, and the same dynamics would overtake it. The difference was, it is not fair to say that the Muslim world wasn't anti-Semitic. The Muslim world was deeply anti-Semitic because the same dynamics of finance. You don't want to do finance and you want to kill off your creditor. But the Jews didn't kill the Muslim God. Therefore, it was slightly of a slightly less caliber than what you saw in Christian Europe. Right? And this is how this whole Jew hate plays out. So you see chronic anti-Semitism, but for Hindus, I mean, when has interest taking been wrong? You know, we don't look at these things. So Jews could do, when they came here, they could do whatever they wanted. You want to be a fisherman? Do it. You want to do banking or finance? Do it. You want to become a chief minister? There were Jewish chief ministers and prime ministers to several of the kings along the West Coast and things. Do it. Who's stopping you? So there was no restrictions on them. And there's no killing of the God. There is, so the sociological reasons for Jew hatred never existed in India. And for that reason, we don't even understand what Hitler did, because I can tell you, being I was a CBSE student, so Central Board of Secondary Education. And you know how much was taught to us about the Holocaust? Exactly one line. The Holocaust happened, and Germany killed off about 5 million Jews. It was literally one sentence, one line. And, this is CBSE, which is a much more globally integrated curriculum. The states and things like that have no idea out there. And, the Tamil Nadu board under the ADMK actually had some lines praising Hitler. It was embarrassing, but the point is, you don't know what Hitler did. So somebody looking at Hitler on balance, where there's just one line about the Holocaust, but then there's all this thing about how he built up Germany's honor and this and that and whatever nonsense. Like, for those of us who've read about the Holocaust, okay, so these are all small things, and mass murder, especially that kind of sadistic mass murder, is that big. But for an average Indian who hasn't even traveled abroad, low per capita income, how do you tell that difference? So, but that is not what Al Jazeera sees. They do something very mischievous. The same way blood libel is put onto Jews in the Christian world, and now the Muslims have also adopted blood libel. They've started making up stories of how Jews kidnap Muslim martyr child and drink its blood for their rituals and things like that. Al Jazeera does that to Hindus. They take the two Hindus saying, yeah, man, go bomb Muslims. Like, every religion has its assholes, man. I can show you Jewish assholes. There were assholes who I saw on Twitter who were pissing on the bodies of Hamas killed. But that doesn't define Israel or a Jew. that is a shitty Jew who exist. There are shitty Indians who exist. Just because we have rapes and murders in India doesn't mean all Indians are rapists and murderers. No? So we have pedophiles in India. That doesn't make all Indians pedophiles. But that is what Al Jazeera wants to stereotype and do it. Al Jazeera is actually an absolute mirror of the Jew who was pissing on the Hamas bodies and the guys on Twitter who are saying go kill Gazans because they're Muslim. So this is one part, which is the Hindu part.
What do you make of like the current situation in terms of, I mean, a very raw way of asking you this is which side are you on?
Right. And sorry, it was the Muslim side as well. We want to discuss Hindus and then Indian Muslims and then which side am I on?
Yeah.